I would like to welcome today's speakers. We have speakers joining us from the Chamber of Commerce, Kupu, and Campbell High School.
So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining Kupu and the Chamber of Commerce for Better Together, uniting employers and educators to build Hawaii's homegrown workforce. So our goal for the next hour is to have you walk away with a good understanding of the power of something called sector partnerships and all that can be achieved when you bring together industry, educators, and students. And our agenda is we'll start with just a little overview of sector partnerships. I know we've got some of our friends on the call who are already participating with us on our various sector partnership initiatives. So aloha to you and thank you for being here. And to those of you who are not familiar with sector partnerships, this will be a chance for you to learn more about this pretty rich and powerful partnership between employers and educators. So I'll start by giving just a brief overview. And then I'll highlight one sector partnership that the Chamber has been convening, and that's in the engineering space. And then I'm going to turn it over to my colleague at Kupu, Lindsay, who will share more about Kupu's natural resources sector partnership. And we'll save a few minutes at the end for Q&A. So diving into our engineering sector partnership, on the bottom, you see who the conveners and supporters are. And so this is really a public-private collaborative of like-minded organizations coming together. And so in this case, it's my organization, the Chamber of Commerce Hawaii. It's the state of Hawaii's Department of Labor. It's our friends at Kamehameha Schools and Stupski Foundation, as well as our partners at SMS Research. So these are the people who are sort of the engine behind the effort. Who do we work with? Number one, we work with our 3 school complexes on the right. And because this is a pilot, we've identified these 3 school complexes from elementary, middle to high. So we have the Campbell School Complex, Castle School Complex, and Waipahu School Complex. A sector partnership is essentially a collaborative effort to build a connected cradle to career talent pipeline through a sequence of connected work-based learning activities that students get to experience so that they build both their technical and professional skills, starting at the elementary level, which is really just exposure and awareness, and then progressing through middle school, high school, college, and into career. Sector partnerships are happening here in Hawaii in a number of sectors. You're going to get to learn about 2 of them today, but they're also happening throughout the country. They are a proven best practice for engaging employers in work-based learning. And so there's a large effort in engineering. That's our focus for today. We also have a new effort in IT that's really exciting because the IT space represents tremendous opportunity and growth for students in terms of their careers. So I'll talk a little more about that at the end. And we have a healthcare sector partnership as well. And then a small effort around ship repair. We want our local students who have an interest in going into ship repair, specifically welding, to know about those career opportunities within the Department of Defense. So that's an overview of what a sector partnership is. And if you can have a visual in your head, it's really employers within one industry sitting around a table working together to build Hawaii's talent pipeline in their industry. And so they are working very, very closely with their DOE partners to get themselves into classrooms, to get students out into workspaces, and really expose students at an early age to the world of work. As I mentioned, we're going to be going deep into engineering. So with engineering, we've been at this for about 14 months. And over the course of the 14 months, these are the local engineering and construction firms that have raised their hand and said, sign us up. We want to work with our colleagues in our industry to build Hawaii's engineering talent pipeline. And so it's an impressive list of over 70 employers. And you can think of a sector partnership as being one large tent that brings together various employers, brings together community partners, secondary education partners, post-secondary education partners. And again, we're all working on that sequence of connected work-based learning activities for our students. So you see, again, as I mentioned, our industry partners on the top right are our secondary education partners. Again, our 3 pilot school complexes, Campbell, Castle, and Waipahu. post-secondary, the University of Hawaii College of Engineering is really, their Dean Brendan Morioka is our champion for this. And so he is at every meeting. He's helping to set strategy, set agenda, and then our community partners that are so integral to the work that we do. And then the convening team, which is really just that quiet engine in the background, making sure work happens. That's how I like to explain the role of the convener. So with the engineering sector partnership, as I mentioned, our goal is developing an engineering kindergarten to career pathway through a sequence of connected industry-led work-based learning experience. We follow the P20 work-based learning continuum of taking students from awareness to exploration, into preparation, and into training. And so for us, we've plotted this pathway out and identified some of the work-based learning that are ideal experiences for students to have at various stages in their education. And so at the elementary level, we're talking about taking that long list of employers that we just showed you and bringing them into the schools to be guest speakers, to work with third graders on activities that help them feel like math is fun. Math readiness, as I'll explain shortly, is very important to us. And we do field days where our employers come in. And then as students move on to middle school, it's appropriate to do more activities. And you can see them listed here. I'll go through them in a bit. And then high school, we start to do things like career fairs and internships, and then on into post-secondary. I really want to highlight that blue arrow at the bottom because industry support and engagement is critical every step of the way. And so again, this session is called Better Together, and it would be nothing without our employers seated at the table and involved in all of these activities. I also want to mention at the bottom of this slide how important Climb High Bridge is as a tool to connecting our educators with our employers. And so a big mahalo to all of our employer partners who have taken the time to be added to Climb High Bridge. Also, big mahalo to our teachers who use Climb High Bridge to find opportunities to bring engineers into their classrooms. We have 68 local engineering firms that have added themselves to Climb High Bridge. All told, I believe they have 153 engineering-related work-based learning activities that are ready and available to our education partners. And so our goal this year is to encourage our teachers to really dip into that and make more requests of our employers. And so wanted just to highlight how important both our industry partners are and the Climb High Bridge tool is. And if you're not familiar with Climb High Bridge, I really hope you all are. But if you're not, each school has a portal manager. And so ask your principal who your portal manager is. They can get you access to Climb High Bridge, and I'll show you a screenshot of it a little later. So what do we do with these 70 plus employer partners? How do we make sure we're not boiling the ocean and that we're instead focused on some high priorities that maybe we can move the needle on? And so at the very initial stage of bringing all of these partners together, we went through a pretty lengthy discovery process on both the educator side and the teacher side and said, what would make a difference to getting more of your students through the engineering academies on into engineering post-secondary, either at UH or another post-secondary institution? And we boiled it together down to these 4 priorities. The first is increasing career awareness and interest. And so you know what that is. Those are exposing students at the early grades to STEM and engineering related activities, things like robotics, things like, catapults and building things and breaking things and launching things. And so that's a lot of what happens at the early age. But at the same time, we're starting to educate students about what it means to be an engineer. What might you do as an engineer in our community, and that you're ensuring there's clean water, and that you're building bridges. And so we're connecting the dots for students. And these are Hawaiʻi engineers who are talking about this to students. And so our second priority is to increase STEM interests among female students. We know that 20% of the engineers in Hawaii, actually nationwide, are women. And so we all have a shared kuleana to increase the number of girls who go into STEM and eventually into engineering. And why engineering? These are in-demand occupations that pay more than family-sustaining wages, and that are going to be, in a growth mode for the years to come. So we feel confident that these are careers we want to encourage both boys and girls to consider. But again, our second priority is really lifting up STEM and engineering for girls. And so I'll talk in a little bit about how we do that. But again, the most important thing is to have female engineers talking to middle school, even elementary school girls, and showing them what's possible. And so that's the second initiative, one that I'm especially excited about. The third priority that collectively they said, if we can move the needle on this, we're going to be helping to build Hawaii's engineering talent pipeline. That third initiative is ensuring students are math ready. And as you know, to be an engineer, you have to have prerequisites, including calculus, ideally once you are entering college, but at least at the point where you're starting college. And so we find that a lot of students who desire to be an engineer don't have the readiness from a math competency point of view. And so how can we start early? Again, third grade, so that math is fun and interesting and tangible to students. So that's a named priority for us. Lots of great employer partners working around that initiative. And then the fourth initiative was simply to make sure that our educators could fill their engineering academy advisory boards with local engineering employers. And so we knocked that one out of the park right away. We took our 70 employers, we did a little gap analysis, we paired people, and pretty instantly our school partners had robust advisory boards. Underneath all of this in the gray, you can see that things like job shadows, internships, project-based learning, and very, very importantly, teacher externships are foundational for this collective initiative. And so we've got that kind of top of mind as we work on these four priorities. So how do we go about moving the needle on these three areas? Remember, we took care of the advisory board right away. So our work is really boiled down to these three. We're just starting year 2 of this. And so this slide represents the initiatives that were completed in year 1, and then the additional initiatives for year 2 that we're going to be focused on. And I won't go through all of the details because I've got a future slide that is a little simpler. But I wanted to give you a sense for some of the specific activities that we hear from our educators and we hear from our employers would make a difference. This slide boils down the previous slide a little better. What were some of the things that our employers enabled this sector partnership to do? Number one, Engineers Week happens every February. And so we really used that as a catalyst to provide a whole bunch of work-based learning for elementary, middle, and high school. And so with our employer partners, there were a total of 11 events over the 5 days that involved 33 different engineering firms and touched more than 500 students. And so the first activity was Engineering Field Day. So on one day, I think we were at 5 different schools with employers leading hands-on activities. We also had a virtual parent night where parents were able to learn about the field of engineering for their students, why it's a viable occupation, what they could do to support their students' journey. We also had a UH job fair where high school juniors and seniors were able to attend and engage with employers. We also conducted mock job interviews. So engineering academy students got to be mock interviewed by engineering leaders and employers. And then finally, we partnered with our wonderful partners at STEMworks on Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day, which had, I believe, 68 middle school girls virtually last year, working with female engineers here in Hawaii on some really fascinating hands-on projects. In addition to that, we were able to develop a speakers bureau. So we were able to find 36 female engineers here in Hawaii who raised their hand and said, I'll be on a speakers bureau. I'll be trained to talk to elementary, middle, or high school students, particularly girls, about my journey as an engineer. And I should mention that all of those speakers are loaded in Climb High Bridge and are ready and willing to head out to your classrooms and speak to your students. We had an exciting downtown field trip that we called Engineering Expedition. Oceanit and Booz Allen hosted students on their on site for a super cool morning. And then in addition to that, STEMworks hosted and facilitated some engineering summer internships for high school seniors. And again, it's our employer partners that stepped up and said, I'll host a summer internship. So thank you to our employer partners who may be on this session, who stepped up to do that. We're also doing some work around mapping the ideal math curriculum from elementary to post-secondary to prepare a student for a career in engineering. And so that was a collective work, and we're using that mapping to educate teachers, parents, and students around that math journey. And we also created some resources that I'll be sharing with you at the end of my presentation that we're going to make available to all schools and teachers, not just those in the complex project. There's also a resource bank that I'll be sharing with you. And then in May, we took the seniors who had been accepted to UH College of Engineering out to the University of Hawaii. The College of Engineering hosted them for a morning just to see all the exciting things that awaited them if they chose to attend UH College of Engineering. And then, as I mentioned previously, Climb High Bridge engagement. So I can't stress enough what a rich resource that is for everybody. And so at this time, I want to thank and welcome our colleague at Campbell High School, who represents the Campbell Complex, Tracy Koide, who's going to tell you about their experience with the Engineering Sector Partnership and all the wonderful benefits of working with the employer partners that they've had the pleasure of working with. Tracy, over to you.
I just wanted to say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce. Having this engineering sector partnership has been a game changer for us at Campbell. So I am the academy lead, and my specific job, besides teaching, is to bring industry into our classrooms to help our teachers as well to be able to communicate with our students and also be up to date with what the job needs are and things like that. So some of the highlights we had last year, some of the big wins we had, Keala did highlight some of them. We did have engineering field day. So our engineering class, which is pictured at the bottom, they had a full day work day with engineers. They came in, they first started off with kind of what engineering is, the different types and so forth. And then they did about a 4-hour PBL or problem-based learning. So they had to identify the issue, kind of brainstorm and think about how they can solve the issue. And then they actually did prototypes and tested it out. So that was a huge one. In one of the reflections, one of the students said, this was my best day of high school out of all my years in high school, and he was already a senior. So hearing those kinds of things really tells us that, you know, what we're doing, we're on the right track. As far as the students in the top left-hand corner, those students are the ones that did go to UH. They were accepted and were able to attend this field trip. For them, their main response when they came back was, I feel a little less nervous because even though they're coming from a big school like Campbell, you know, going to college and, you know, now being with a whole bunch of new people, they were all already a little nervous. So that was great. As far as our engineering expedition field trip in the top right, it was also great for them to see what downtown is even like, you know, being in a downtown building where there's nice buildings and nice views, and then they get to work here. And they saw some things like audio-visual type things, you know, like the camera you put on your face. I mean, they're like, oh my gosh, I always wanted to have one of those and play with it. And you're telling me I can do this for a job? So it was very eye-opening for them and very inspiring for us as teachers to see them have that spark and see that connection. Yeah, so the hopes for this school year is to just really continue these opportunities. We have a lot of other things besides the things that were pictured in the last slide. We had ACE Mentorship Program, which is architecture, construction, and engineering. It is a nationwide program. So we had a lot of, I think we had roughly 16 different employers come and talk about the whole process of a project. So from planning to talking about with project managers, architects, engineers, the actual construction people, and just the whole planning process, the budgeting process. And it was, I believe, a 6-week PBL that 2 classes did for a straight 6 weeks. It was once a week, but for 6 weeks. So we really hope to have these opportunities continue. Obviously, we would like to also add other things such as internships and so forth. But the things that were offered directly through the Chamber of Commerce, through the Engineering Sector Partnership, I can't say enough. If you are here as an employer or here as an educator thinking about joining a partnership, sector partnership, I would highly, highly, highly encourage it. So these were the employers that we've worked with at Campbell High School. What I like to always mention to employers and educators is with these partnerships, um, the employers are coming to us. In the past, I mean, I'm sure every educator here has experienced this. You meet someone like a family friend, or you think about a family member, and you ask them, "Oh, do you think you can come and talk to my kids and talk to my students?" And they're just like, "Well, yeah, I guess I could do it to help you out, but what do you want me to talk about?" and so forth. The greatest thing about this partnership is that they're coming to us saying, we want to do this. We want to expose them to our career. We want to let them know what the job market is like. We want them to get these experiences so that when they go to college and come to the workforce, they're a little bit more enthusiastic about wanting to do the job. And it's no longer just doing it because it's good money. So these people helped us here. There's a wide range of things, from internships to teacher externships, doing a full day. I guess you could call it like a field trip, except we're not going out. Industry is coming in. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to these people here. I'm not sure if they're all here, but it was a great time. We had one student already. The first day of school, his classroom was next door to mine, and while walking by, before even saying hi, he just said, "What's up, Miss? When are we gonna get our next field trip?" So, it's really working. It's really good. I think the main idea is to spark that interest so that they see how everything they're learning right now is relevant for their future. Okay, so speaking of what Kayla was saying as how we're trying to build this pipeline, as you can see here from 2 years ago up until now, our numbers are growing, which is a great sign that we are doing something right. I think a huge one is our number of calculus completers. Even with COVID, we are still on the rise, which is a good sign. To the point where this school year we are offering Calc BC. We've never offered it before, but we've seen that there was a need starting from about 2 years ago. So we did make that change. It is a small group, so it is offered online through one of our teachers at school, but we are moving in that direction. As far as the female enrollment, it is going up as well, and we hope to see that trend. And I look forward to seeing that happen. We do still need employers for here on the right-hand column for, job shadowing. We understand that it's really difficult to do internships just because the nature of their work hours, and high schoolers need to be in school until a certain time. So job shadowing is something we decided would be a good in the middle. Design thinking challenges, just like engineering field day, but on a smaller scale. If anyone wants to come in and give us a real world problem that you guys are working on and give us time to, let the kids kind of think about what their solution would be, how they would go about it. Is it feasible? Things like that. Obviously, internship opportunities, where even though it's been a struggle, we always put that out there because some companies might be able to accommodate that. So if you guys, anyone is interested in, helping out, please get with the Chamber of Commerce and we can see how we can fit in. Oh, and I'm done. So I'm done for myself, but I just wanted to, again, just really say thank you to everybody. It's a great opportunity, and I really look forward to what the future brings.
Great. Tracy, thank you for sharing Campbell Complex's experience. You guys are awesome to work with. And so just as we wrap up, we have a whole bunch of metrics that we watch to see if all of this is having any impact. We're still crunching the data from last year, but I wanted to give you a sneak peek among our 3 school complexes. When we look at engineering pathway enrollment, we can see this great increase year over year. So we're encouraged that what we're doing is having some effect. We're encouraged that all the time our employers are so generously spending is having some impact on increasing interest among students. And so for year two, we're being very intentional about making sure we're weaving professional skills, sometimes known as soft skills, into our efforts. We hear from our engineering employers, and we hear, in fact, from most industries that professional skills are as important as technical skills. And so our employers are going to be thinking about how they can create experiences for students that really help hone these very important professional skills. And these are the professional skills that the engineering employers said matter most, and that sometimes new grads aren't necessarily bringing into the workforce. So in closing, as we look ahead, this is now available to not just these 3 school complexes, but to schools statewide. And I want to explain to you how. So for educators, as I mentioned, Climb High Bridge, all of our employers are loaded, ready to work with you. You can see a screenshot of the first 5 lines, and this is one company, AECOM, who's willing and able to come into your classrooms and do all of these things. There are pages and pages and pages of these, 153 in total. So get onto Climb High Bridge, make requests of our employer partners. Also, we've created resources to help really with the career awareness piece. These are available to be accessed and downloaded. It's the employers that created these tools. So there's one for elementary, and there's one for middle and high school that really communicates to a student why become an engineer, how to become an engineer, etc. Moving to our employers who are on the call, and thank you for being here. My call to you is to, as I mentioned, add your company to Climb High Bridge. You don't have to be an engineering company. You can be any company. You can email me, and I'll help you get situated. And then the last thing is to get involved in the other sector partnerships, which are healthcare, IT, and clean energy and creative media. So any employers interested in that, you can email me at kpeters@cochawaii.org. And I'm going to turn it over now to my colleague, Lindsay, with Kupu.
Aloha, thank you so much for having me here today to talk about the Natural Resource Sector Partnership. This is a newer initiative that Kupu and our partners have undertaken, so really excited to share out with you folks. Just a little bit of background on what the Natural Resource Sector Partnership is. This is a collaborative effort to bring natural resource educators and industry professionals together to better prepare and inspire Hawaii's youth to pursue post-secondary education and careers in Hawaii's growing natural resource field so that they can meet future demands of the natural resource professions available in Hawaii. So we want to kind of set the stage and answer the question of why natural resources. Natural resources is a growing field of diverse careers. Thousands of high-skill, high-wage jobs already exist here in Hawaii, and the rate of growth is 7% annually for these jobs. Furthermore, Aina-based opportunities have been known to address the learning loss and support students' social and emotional well-being, which we all know have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly in the past few years. Aina-based education and natural resource opportunities have been shown to increase academic performance, critical thinking, and personal development. And Hawaii-based research has even found a strong connection existing between Aina-based and cultural-based education and positive learning outcomes for Native Hawaii students in particular. Building off of this, the Department of Education's Office of Hawaiian Education's Theory of Change links academic success with the needs and sustainability of a future Hawaii. And I had a video that unfortunately isn't going to play, but we also want to highlight that natural resources is a very diverse field. The jobs draw on a vast array of skill sets and backgrounds, so there's a little bit of something for everyone in this field. So to help us bring these opportunities to Hawaii students, we first established an advisory board, and on this board we have industry leaders in natural resources that really have a pulse on what the career field looks like, what jobs are available. We also have representatives from the education side who have knowledge of what's happening at the school and collegiate level to bring their knowledge and expertise into the advisory board. And we also have individuals that just have the experience and expertise on these sector partnerships that are emerging. We also have established an educators community of practice to get conversations going between and amongst schools, to learn from each other, talk about the strengths and opportunities that educators see as the ones most directly building this natural resources homegrown workforce. Currently, it is a very Oahu-centric representation of educators. We're very aware of this, and we really look forward to expanding out to neighbor islands in the very near future. So we just wanted to go over some of the work we have done to date. This has included some landscape analysis of what the NR field looks like in Hawaii. This has included a snapshot analysis of the jobs available. This is both what the jobs are and things like what employers are looking for in their candidates. And we plan to replicate this study again next spring. We sent out a sector-wide survey that went out statewide to natural resource professionals and amassed the information about their demographics and their career journeys. They also provided us input on what they saw as strengths and gaps existing in local candidates applying for natural resource jobs. And they also gave us their perspectives and opinions on what they think the next generation needs to be successful in natural resources. We've convened our advisory group twice. They provide such valuable insight on interpreting data, next steps, what voices we need to bring to the table. We've convened our educators community of practice once to get those initial conversations going between and amongst schools across the island. We also hosted a 2-hour forum at the most recent Hawaii Conservation Conference. We had voices from Office of Hawaiian Education and Ha'oli Maloa Foundation to set the tone and give us some background, and also have our educators share out everything they've been talking about as far as strengths and areas of need with natural resource professionals at the conference and educators. And one of the other things that we've been working on is helping to amass feedback and inform the DOE's new Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resource Career Pathway Program of Study and Standards. We've hosted workshops and gathered feedback and surveys from nearly 100 different professionals in the natural resource field and education field to give feedback on what it is our kids should be learning so that they can be successful in post-secondary education and careers in natural resources. And this is all happening along with the direct in-school support that we provide. We have individuals that work directly in the schools. They bring and support hands-on work-based learning opportunities in Hawaii's natural and cultural resources to teach students in a work-based learning sort of setting. So that's where we've been, and we're looking forward to the next steps of the Natural Resource Sector Partnership. We still need to settle on our priority areas. As you can see in those 3 bubbles, we have emerging priorities that are continuously evolving and being adapted based off of all of the feedback we're getting from our partners and other stakeholders. But once we've settled on those priority areas, we intend to establish working groups around these priority areas that will then identify and implement the key actions to advance these priorities. Overall, what we're learning is that we really need to increase the awareness of NR career opportunities and work-based learning experiences for our students in Hawaii. We're also finding that curriculum really needs to be place-based and integrate AINA-based education within. Finally, we're learning that education level, content knowledge, transferable skills, and the social capital and relationships that are integral to life here in Hawaii are also important factors in obtaining careers in natural resources. So we just want to go over some of the successes we've had so far of the Natural Resource Sector Partnership, and I'm going to go over all of these bullets in a little bit more detail. So one of the first things that we're going to go over is the INA-based and work-based learning that are school-based opportunities. Like I said, we have individuals that go into the schools to work directly with our educators and students to bring INA-based externship opportunities, as well as professionals into the classrooms themselves. We've been able to provide a great number of robust, meaningful opportunities. And one of the highlights we're going to highlight, the bright spot, is Kapolei High School's Fall Break Program. This was a week-long program where a select group of students got to participate in experiencing different natural and cultural sites around the island to learn about and our careers hands-on. And one of the really encouraging things that we got back from the program was that 100% of participating students, after participating in the program, were open to exploring what kinds of conservation careers they would be a good fit in. And with that, I am going to turn it over to some wonderful movers and shakers in the NR field. We have Maile Resurrection from Kapolei High School's Ho'ola Leadership Academy and Jenny Agodish from Malama Pupukea Waimea. I'm going to turn it over to you folks.
Cool. I'm My Resurrection, and I am the Natural Resource Teacher for the Ho'ola Leadership Academy at Kapolei High School. We've had the pleasure of working with Kupu, along with Malama Pupukea Waimea and many other organizations within either our Ahupua'a or community or other communities on the island of Oahu. Before we even got to do this internship in fall, we were working with Jenny, and we were able to work with her 2 different semesters. One spring semester of 2021, and then we moved into fall semester of 2022. During that time, obviously, COVID was a factor, and we weren't able to maybe necessarily get either our students to her destination or a destination similar to Malama Pupukea Waimea's area. So we actually had to figure out curriculum that was going to be able to be suitable for our students and bring into the classroom all online. Even when we returned back to fall of 2021 of school, we continued to be able to work with Jenny and continue to actually use that type of format. And the curriculum that we were able to bring in was a variety of topics that, as a natural resource teacher, that wasn't necessarily the topic I went to school for. And as Lindsay had mentioned earlier, natural resources is a wide range of careers. With my knowledge, I was only hitting certain areas of careers and opportunities. With the help of Kupu and working with Malama Pupukea Waimea, that was a opportunity for me to be able to start bringing other types of topics and careers into my classroom that I wasn't necessarily or comfortable with. So we were able to hit all of this. We were able to create curriculum. We were able to bring in guest speakers. We were able to, of course, introduce our students to Auntie Jenny. And then eventually we were able to make it to her site, which was very exciting for a lot because they've seen a lot of things through the internet, on our Zoom meets. They were able to get information and videos to look back on. And they've obviously met some of our guest speakers just online, but this was a really great opportunity and a great way to kind of be able to get them back into the AINA. And I think that kind of created this full circle of understanding everything that they've learned so far with Jenny and all of our guest speakers coming in. So it's such a great opportunity to work with our organizations like this, because we do need to figure out a way, maybe if we can't get students out to actual field trips, whatever the reason is, how can we get them maybe to the site and then eventually there? I do believe that all students learn in many different ways. If we can teach them and introduce them to curriculum like this, and then eventually get them onto the hands-on component, however they learn, they're going to be able to learn in some type of facet between those ways. So again, it was such a great opportunity to create this curriculum with Jenny. And sorry, Jenny, I kind of took up a lot. So just jump in and
Oh,
add in anything you want from there.
that was super awesome. Thank you, Maile. Hello, everybody. I'm Jenny Yagodich, and I'm the Director of Educational Programs for Malama Pupukia Waimea, which is a grassroots, on-the-ground community nonprofit that cares for, educates about, and protects the Pupukia Marine Life Conservation District. So we're a direct recipient of these resource management types of activities, and we're an end result. So we're the, like I said, we're the tabis on the ground or the boots on the ground. So we directly benefit from folks who are interested in resource management and who are willing to come kokua or lend a hand. And so this partnership with Ho'ola Leadership Academy was super it was super unique in that it was for an extended amount of time, and we saw the same students over and over again throughout the semesters that we were there. And like Maile mentioned, we were able to bring in these guest speakers that we have great relationships with and we have great partnerships with, but they weren't necessarily ever invited into a classroom by, you know, a teacher just reaching out sort of blindly. And so it was a really neat collaboration. And you can see there on the slide, you know, the different topics and the different guest speakers that we had, folks from Division of Aquatic Resources, NOAA, Huiku Maoliola, just all over the place. You know, everybody from high-end, you know, professionals in their field to kupuna, you know, on outer islands. It was really beautiful. And so everybody, you know, there was a lot of feedback from folks, the speakers, who said, that was super awesome. Thank you so much for letting us do that and inviting us to do that. But really the bread and butter was at the end there when the students were able to come out, and you can see some images there of the students working really hard. And part of the work that we do out here is we have this really extensive Native Hawaiian plant coastal restoration project. And if you look at the bottom there, it tells you about that those students removed 400 pounds of invasive weeds and shrubs. So, I mean, that was just like kudos to the students. It was such a neat partnership and such a great way to get them exposed to us and sort of excited about other opportunities across Hawaii where they can do similar work. So yeah, mahalo for the partnership.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenny and Maile, for being here today and all the work you do in the natural resource field, and awesome partners as always. Super grateful for all you do. And yeah, it's incredible what the students are able to accomplish. It's just mind-blowing. All right, I've got a little bit more. So moving on from the in-school opportunities, we're going to highlight a few of the out-of-school opportunities that we've also had success with. This summer, we've piloted a new program called Kako'o Connections, which is geared toward helping Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander high school students in their last couple of years of school explore post-secondary and career pathways in natural resources. They go on UH campus tours, engage in Malama'aina, and interact with natural resource professionals. And you can see from the quote down there, I think it really illustrates everything we're trying to accomplish with this, where one of our participants was in the program and said, you know, I never even realized certain fields could be connected back to the environment and natural resources, but through this program gained an understanding of that, as well as gaining an understanding of all the different opportunities to go to school here and continue education and working in Hawaii at home. So we're very excited that that was an outcome of the program. Focusing on our intermediate level students, we have a program called Kokua Camp. And this is really a program that plants the seed and kind of introduces students to what Malama'aina and natural resource is so that they can be lifelong stewards. And with that, one of the responses we got from a parent this past summer, her child participated and really pointed to the ability for participating in Aina education and being out in Aina with peers was so good for her son, who had been distance learning for the past 2 years and had anxieties of returning back to school as it was, but that this program was able to help him overcome some of those anxieties. So again, another huge win that we're so excited about. Beyond in-school and out-of-school opportunities, we also support NR career pathway development. This is looks like at the school level, we help develop the new 4-year plans for career pathways in schools to better hopefully inform and prepare what these students are going to be learning about so that they can go on to post-secondary and careers fully prepared for what's going to be asked of them. We participate in academy advisory boards, again, to inform what the work-based learning and career opportunities that they are going to be pursuing once they leave high school. Another thing we're excited about is really working to facilitate intermediate and high school partnerships so that near-peer learning can happen and curriculum can be aligned as students move from intermediate to high school level. We've also put out a bunch of content to hopefully not only inform but excite students and teachers and parents about natural resource careers. And a statistic is illustrated down there. Not only has enrollment increased for Kapolei's high school's Natural Resource Academy, but an unprecedented number of students are self-selecting to go to the Natural Resource Academy. At the state level, again, we've helped to inform the Ag, Food, and Natural Resources CTE career pathway. What we really want is for kids to have all the tools and the necessary knowledge that they can leave school, go into careers, and be best prepared to stay and work in Hawaii. We've done some tool and resource development, again, to try and educate about natural resources and bring everything we can to our educators so that they can bring to their students the necessary things they'll need to be successful. We've created a natural resource career tree that we hope to get on career counselors' walls soon. Currently, it looks like a spreadsheet down there. We have a natural resource clearinghouse that is just a hub of resources that we hope educators interact with and bring into their classroom. And we've created career support and guidance tools to hopefully, again, inform students of the opportunities they can be taking on during high school as they prepare to go on to college. Looking ahead, we really do want to expand to the neighbor islands and hope to do that soon and get as many voices as diverse as they are into our partnership. We also hope to broadly distribute all of these tools and materials statewide. And excitingly, our first full partnership meeting is scheduled for October 13th from 3 to 4:30. I have a form linked there that I'm not sure if we can get thrown in the chat, but if you are interested or want to learn more, that's how we're amassing folks' emails and information. So please feel free to fill that out and we will keep you up to date. And finally, mahalo nui loa for and if there are any questions or you want to get involved, please feel free to reach out to that email. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And so on behalf of Lindsay and I and Kupu and the Chamber of Commerce, thanks for joining us today. We're happy to answer any questions if there are any that you haven't already put in the chat. And so we'll hang tight for a moment. And otherwise, we'll turn it back over to our friends at Hawaii P20. Mahalo all.
Thank you so much, Callie. So it was a great presentation. And, you know, if anyone has any questions, please feel free in the chat.
And I'll say that I'm happy to connect with you individually. I have my email in the chat, or if you have a specific question. We know that IT, there's a lot happening on Kauai with IT, and we are working on extending the new IT effort to Kauai and Maui at the very least.
I want to say mahalo to our speakers for sharing their knowledge with us today. And thank you all for joining us in this session and for this convening. And we hope to see you next year. Mahalo, everyone.